Okay, this is a Tascam DR70D. This is the audio recorder you'll be using in FP1 and then sometimes FP2 and beyond. Let's check what comes in it. All right, so the first thing is the first box comes with this huge battery brick. This is how you'll actually be powering the device. It comes with a cord that goes USB into the device, or if you need to charge this at home, you reverse it. There's a smaller input here. If you need to charge it, you simply plug the USB portion into the wall. Now that's actually all that comes in the bag is the charging case and the recorder. So to power the device, you plug it in here where we have our micro USB port. On the side of this recorder, there's a button. When you press the button, it lights up and basically it turns on. It's telling it, hey, be ready to give some power. To turn this on, there's a power button. You have to press and hold this down. And then once your screen lights up, it's on. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to tell you USB select bus power. Basically, it's saying, hey, do you want to be powered by this external charger? Yes. Bus power is a yes. To say yes, this wheel is how you navigate the menu system. You're going to press it in to select something. So we're going to say yes to bus power. You'll put in the date. I'm going to skip this for now. The next question is going to ask about phantom power. Phantom power is when you're using this device and its battery to power through the XLR port to the microphone on the other side. Basically, you're powering the microphone with this. It's fine to leave that on. Now, while we're still talking about powering this device, on the back side, there's a door that opens and a tray that pops open for you to power this with AA batteries. Using this battery pack will usually power it for about 8 hours. This thing is hardy and will last a long, long time. But for safety's sake, you might want to put 4 AA batteries in here because if this gets pulled out, the whole thing loses power. But if there are AA batteries in here, it'll stay powered using its internal batteries. It's never a bad idea to shove those with AA batteries, but you don't need them. It's just a safety precaution. Your SD card will go into this little slot here. Now what's really important is the size of your SD card. I would recommend using a 16 gigabyte card. That will always work. Using a 32 gigabyte card will mostly work. A 64 gigabyte card or larger will never work in this. This machine does not like having a lot of data storage. You have to use 32 or below. I would highly recommend 16. That is plenty of space for an entire shoot. Let's look at our inputs. We have 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th XLR input on this. There's also a line in and out. There's a few other inputs on this that I would just ignore, but it's important to know your headphones jack is right here and your volume for your headphone jack is this dial. What's important to know is that if you have wired headphones that have a microphone built in, they will not work. Like iPhone headphones that have that little, like on the cord, has that microphone built into it, those will actually not work on this device. So make sure that you have headphones that are wired without that. So what I'm going to do for the sake of this tutorial is I have a shotgun mic that I'm going to plug in into our first import. And we should start getting levels there. We can see our levels bouncing on the system. This is where you're going to monitor your levels and then turn them up or turn them down using the knob. Okay, so once you're plugged in and your levels are bouncing, your goal is to not be above this little triangle. You're trying to actually aim for that triangle but not go too far above or too far below. Now, if this peaking red light comes on, that means you're way too loud, but if you peak, that means you basically have unusable audio. It's going to be overmodulated and it's going to sound awful. Your goal is to try to never peak when you're recording audio. Now to record, it's very simple. You press this record button, the red light will come on. To stop recording, you do not press record again. That will only pause the recording and then continue on that same audio track and audio file. To stop the recording, you press the stop button, number 1. If you want to play back the audio that you just played, you can press the play button and it'll just instantly play back what you just recorded. So remember, record and then stop recording. Now before you get on set, you need to go into the menu system and set all the correct settings. In this video, I'm going to tell you the exact correct settings that are best for our level of productions. To get into the menu, you hit the menu button and there's so huge of a menu tree that you use the wheel to go through. So we're going to start by going into basic. basically there's a menu system for all 4 channels. At the top, you'll see all 4 of the channels. For every channel that's on, it doesn't matter if something's plugged into it or not, but you're going to record a separate file for each channel. So if I press record and then stop, right now I would have one file for channel 1, one for channel 2, channel 3, and channel 4, and one for everyone that's on. That being said, if you only have a boom connected to this and you only need one channel, you should go in and turn those channels off. So I would turn channel 2 off, I would go in and turn channel 3 off, and then the same for channel 4, which is already off in our case. You are going to get a different file on your SD card for every track that is on for every time you press record. So if you have all 4 on and you press record, you're going to get 4 files. So only have the channels on corresponding to the things you actually have turned in. Otherwise, I would always have wide set to 50%, gain set to mid, and input 1 and 2 on XLR/TRS. Now the one thing that I might actually change is gain, which is set to mid. If you are operating the knobs and lowering your levels using the knobs and you can't get high enough or low enough, like let's say people are whispering in the scene and you need to, and the boom mic can't get close enough and you're just not getting the levels loud enough, even though you're all the way turned up, what you can do is set this gain to high, and then your audio levels will be more sensitive. On the flip side, if you're at like a monster truck rally and characters are screaming and shouting at each other and it's too loud and you've turned your levels all the way down, you can also adjust your gain to low. I would start it at mid and then adjust to low or high if you find yourself in situations where things are way too loud or way too quiet. So I'm only recording one channel, so I have all these set for one channel. Let's go back. We have a monitor menu. Our monitor menu should be set to mix, 0 dB, and then a line output gain. This isn't very important, but I often found people turn up their device because it's not loud enough in their headphones. If you feel like you need to turn it up because your headphones are terrible or something along those lines, you can turn it up in the output level. Okay, input. These things get messed up all the time. Your input gain, so this should be on mic or mic plus phantom. Channel 1's the only one that can be mic plus phantom, but mic off limiter, off low cut, reference delay, off phase. So once again, just mic off, off, 0, off, off. Your channel 1, its delay is going to be reference, but on channel 2, 3, 4, it's going to be on delay. Just put that on 0. I think you're going to have better luck applying a limiter and a low cut filter in post-production and making sure you're just recording at a correct level rather than relying on a limiter or a low cut filter. Okay, in the record menu, you want file type mono. A format, you actually want 24-bit. You want the highest bit rate to have the best possible files. If this ever gets reverted back to factory settings, this goes back to 16-bit. We always want this to be 24-bit. 24-bit and 48K sample rate. So mono, 24-bit, 48K sample rate. This is going to give you really pristine files to work with. This is going to give you good files to work with. 16-bit would give you very smaller, limited files. So the last option here is a dual record mode. What this does is it records an identical file at a lower rate so that if your subject screams on camera, you have a separate file that's recorded at a lower rate that, though you peaked on your main file, maybe didn't peak on the second file. To turn that on, you set the options and you can change how low that second recording file is. I would always put that at -12 decibels. That's a good safe range for you to have 2 files for. This isn't necessary, but it is a safety thing, especially if you're recording something very loud that you can only do once. Having a separate file size that's recording it at a lower decibel can maybe save you and allow you to record it in a safe range. I usually just leave this off because it creates more and more files on the memory card. But if you're ever in a situation where you can't repeatedly do something, I mean, you need to be safe and conservative and have a separate safety file. That's what that dual record is for. Settings on the slate, I would ignore. Settings on the microphone, just make sure these are both set to record. On browse, you can go through your memory card. I don't have a card right in here. And then others is important. There's all kinds of stuff. You can reset the date and time and file names and stuff like that. What's really important is you need to know how to format your card. Remember, the first thing you should do is format your card so that it knows it's about to record WAV audio files and it needs to delete everything else that's on it. So it's really deep in the menu system, get to your format card. So you hit menu, go all the way down to others, to system, Then all the way down at the bottom, there's erase format and quick format. I would always use quick format. I don't have a card in, but once you hit it, it'll format your card and you're ready to go. That's about it on how to work the Tascam. Basically, you plug in your mics, you set up your settings. Hopefully you set up the settings the night before and you just watch your levels bounce. You want to turn up or down your levels and try to aim for that triangle. You don't want to go too far ahead or too far below. You make sure it's powered, you make sure your memory card's formatted, you press record, and then you make movies. You make art. Good luck on your shoots.